we've all seen the vandalism that has happened in Tesla showrooms around the country. And in the past, especially around the BLM George Floyd's riots in 2020, I think rioters got used to the fact that, well, there's never any repercussions to be faced. Well, that day is no longer here. Pam Bondi, Attorney General, has come out and said, well, these violent acts could warrant 20 years in federal prison, specifically vandalism escalating to a felony with high damage costs, vandalism tied to arson, vandalism as domestic terrorism, all carry lengthy federal jail time. Gavin, do we think that the libs who think that protesting or rioting or insurrectioning, as some of us call it, think that that's okay and have been, just let off the hook for the last couple of years, are gonna get the message, or do some proverbial metaphorical heads have to roll before they start realizing that they're not messing around at the DOJ?
Well, look, I would encourage Attorney General Bondi to post this message on Reddit, which is exactly where they plan these crimes. They talk about them openly. They're not exactly sophisticated operators when it comes to their machinations. They're talking and whining and complaining and kvetching all together online on their forums. So I think you could pretty much spot this crime from a mile away next time they're planning a vandalism. But look, I think we're going to have to give them, a slap on the wrist, maybe at first, but maybe it's going to take a few more. And I think eventually they'll get the message, but nothing's going to change with them. They're only going to need to be punished for these crimes. And, if we have to break into the basement and find them at their parents' house and drag them out and throw them in front of a courtroom, then so be it. That's the only way we're going to stop this type of stuff from continuing to happen.
Gavin, it seems to be implying that a bunch of these people don't have jobs and are unemployed and live with their parents. I don't know where you would get that very demeaning categorization.
Listen, I haven't ever seen a mid-level executive at a major corporation, a high-powered attorney or a stockbroker, any kind of serious professional engage in the kind of antics that we've seen over the years that become all too commonplace among the left. So, maybe I'm casting certain aspersions their way, but I think they're certainly warranted.
I agree with those characterizations, was the word I was looking for. Morgan, if these people get prosecuted, do you think that the overall basis of the American voter populace will see this as political? Obviously, conservatives have been complaining about political persecution or prosecution for a very long time, and I think that is warranted. But if these people that are throwing Molotov cocktails into Tesla showrooms actually do get prosecuted, which I hope they do, will the American people see it as okay, well, yeah, clearly you need to prosecute the guy who's lighting the showroom on fire, or will they see it as just President Trump going after his detractors? How's that going to be seen?
I think the leftists in the country will see it as, we're just going to hate Trump even more. But when it comes to the general populace, this is clearly vandalizing. And I do think it's a little ironic that the ones that are vandalizing the Tesla showrooms and different cyber trucks around the country are the same ones that want electric vehicles and want to stop fracking and stop oil and having the Green New Deal and renewable energy in our country. It's really interesting to see how as soon as Tesla, Elon Musk speaks out in favor of, the Republican Party and supporting Donald Trump, that all of a sudden they hate the corporation Tesla. They loved Twitter until Elon bought it and turned it into Twitter. So it's just really interesting and seems like a double standard to me. But I think it's quite obvious this is just as bad or, almost as bad as the BLM stuff. They never got persecution at all, never got sent to jail by vandalizing targets across the nation, and now it's happening to Tesla. So, it's about time that people are actually going to jail for vandalizing in the country.
Yeah, speaking of the electric car thing, that reminds me of the fact that anytime President Biden had a big, we all need to drive electric cars, he had GM, he had Ford, never Tesla. I wonder why. Maybe because it wasn't a union shop, which makes me think that they aren't that serious about the whole climate change thing. Speaking of violence in the streets, one of our favorite congresswomen, and by favorite I mean least favorite, Maxine Waters, again with some words that seem to stoke the flames of physical violence, which of course you should never do as a politician, yet she continues to do it. Watch this video clip and we'll reminisce on some of the other times that Congresswoman Waters said similar dangerous things. Check it out.
What does Trump expect? Oh, I believe he expects violence. I believe he expects confrontation. I believe he's working toward a civil war.
Yeah, Gavin, have you heard anything out of President Trump's mouth that would suggest at all that we should commit violence against people and going further, start a civil war?
No, quite the opposite. We see President Trump taking to truth to make pleas for these encircled Ukrainian troops in Russia, trying to save their lives, trying to end wars. Meanwhile, you have these Looney Tune member of Congress, Maxine Waters, claiming that he's trying to incite a civil war, while herself has a long record of inciting violence against Trump supporters, against Republicans, against conservatives. Of course, she never faces backlash. She never faces any repercussions, just like the people that are vandalizing Tesla dealerships and Tesla cars. But this just goes to show that the left are basically a bunch of grown children. They're just always acting out. They're always talking in this hyperbolic manner, trying to project their own guilty thoughts onto everyone else. And this is just the latest iteration of it. It's pretty sad. It's pretty pathetic. I think we really need some mandatory mental health check-ins on some of these members of Congress, particularly on the Democrat side of the aisle.
Yeah, maybe a convalescent home would suit Maxine Waters, who seems to have been in Congress for the last, I don't know, 120 years. Morgan, Maxine also was the one who, remember during Trump 1.0 presidency, said if you see any Republicans in the street, you push back on them, you create a crowd, which was clearly physical intimidation. And also, Robert Garcia, congressman, I believe also in California, the Long Beach area, recently got in trouble for saying you need to bring actual weapons, not just rhetorical weapons. Is this a theme that you think will get picked up by more mainstream Dems and libs? I hope not. Like, I'm not a proponent of this at all, but I'm just curious where you think the barometer is on the lefty side of the aisle when it comes to promoting, in my opinion, some pretty dangerous verbiage.
Yeah, they're clearly upset that we won the election. And, the populace clearly voted for what is currently happening in DC and really, turning a page to the next generation of America, the golden age, as President Trump talks about frequently. And it's crazy to me that the side of the aisle that continuously says that conservatives are the problem and we're the ones inciting violence, yet there is continually coming out quotes and videos of the Democrats actually inciting violence and wishing harm against conservatives in our nation, not just conservative and Republican leaders in the nation. So it's just quite interesting to me to see Maxine Waters continuously pushing this message to harm Republicans. I think if it keeps continuing on this way, I know AOC has made some comments and other congressmen and senators, this is going to be in America where Democrats are going to think it's okay to incite violence against other people, and it's not.
Yeah, I think it's very dangerous and very irresponsible for sitting congresspeople to say that.